Howdy folks, Mountain View Russ here in Mountain View, Arkansas. So I'm up on the roof. Thought I'd give a little update about what's going on. We got most of my solar stuff in, and I'm gonna start installing that next week, I hope. But before I do, I'm gonna coat this roof. I've been up here this morning, last night power washing, this morning hand wiping this down with denatured alcohol. The reason I'm putting a coat on is you may be able to see all the hail damage. I'm not going to walk across the roof right now, but we're right in the middle of a tornado alley up here in North Arkansas, and I've had a couple of hailstorms hit this thing already. So I'm going to put some Henry's Tropi-Cool on this thing. I've seen a lot of videos, and it's kind of a rubbery substance, and I'm doing it mainly to try to protect the roof a little better against hail. I got some quotes going on looking into putting a shed or a lean-to park this thing under, but for now I don't have anything. It's out in the open. So anyway, I'm gonna try this roof coating to start with before I start mounting solar. Um, I put this tape around the edge, kind of as a drip edge. I don't know how this stuff's going to run. I haven't even opened it up yet, but just to make sure I don't have any runs going over the edge. I'll probably get up here and roll. That's what these pieces of plywood are for. I have to move them around and walk on them. So I'll crawl on my knees on these boards and get everything moved to the back end and work my way forward here to where I can climb off the ladder. I still got to figure out how I'm going to bring the material up here. That bucket weighs about 80 pounds. I may have to pour it out into a tray or something. So, and that crawling around on this kind of brings up a thought, for folks that haven't purchased their trailer yet. I got this from Covered Wagon, and they did a lot of, special requests for me, raise the ceiling, how the floor was put in was a little different. And I'd bet that they might even put a plywood top on this thing before they put the metal down. You might check with your provider before you buy one if you're speccing it out. It would be nice to, before they put the aluminum on top, to maybe put some 1/4-inch plywood down and even put a raise in the middle. I know they run that one sheet of paneling down the middle about 18 inches wide to give it a little roll off, but you can look and see this thing just puddles up water. And walking on it, if you're a 100-pounder, you might get away with walking on it, but I'm over 200 pounds. I'm not gonna walk on this aluminum roof and risk tearing it off at the edges or whatever. But some plywood and then putting the full sheet, single sheet roof like this has would really make it a lot nicer for these conversions. So if you're taking that path, you might bring that up with your builder. Anyway, so I just wanted to give an update. I've got the roof cleaned. I've got my drip edge in. Now I'm fixing to go stir up this Henry's Tropi-Cool and start applying. I'll give you an update later. All right, folks, we're back. Took me a little over an hour to do this. Most of that time was spent, moving my 2 pieces of plywood around so I wasn't walking directly on the sheet metal or the aluminum. So I rolled it on. Now Tropi-Cool says that only 1 coat's required. I've seen videos of folks using this on cargo trailers, RVs, and they usually typically did 2 coats. It did 1 lengthwise, which is how I put this one on, and then the other one they went in the opposite direction, 90 degrees, I guess, for better coverage. I've got some pooling. Obviously, the first shot of my roof, you can see all the waves in it just because it's such a thin roof. So there is some pooling in those low areas. We will see. This is supposed to cure up. They don't really talk about how thick to lay it on. Well, we'll find out. So like I said, I've got one coat on. I wanted to put two coats because, I had to, well, I chose to buy a 5-gallon bucket. It's really 4.5-gallon bucket. And I'm gonna have some left over. And from what I've read, uh, after a while, it will skin up inside the bucket till it eventually, um, you know, skins all the way to the bottom. So it's just wasted. So once you buy it, you might as well use it. Of course, I'm adding more weight to the roof. I don't know how that works because, fluid is probably evaporating out of this for it to dry. Seems like you'd lose some weight. I don't know. I've never seen anybody talk about that, but obviously this is going to add some weight. But I think, I'm going to give this a chance to dry. They say 2 to 6 hours, and I think that's dependent on, how warm it is outside. We're real overcast right now. It's supposed to rain later tonight, so I may not get but one coat on. And they talk about coating the second coat if you do one within 48 hours. And I think that's mainly, like I said earlier, to keep your roof from getting dirty between coats. So I seriously doubt if I'm going to get a second coat in. Uh, it's a little after 12:30 here my time, so I'm going to check it about 3 o'clock and see if it feels cured. I don't want to be up there walking around moving that plywood around when this stuff is just, skinned on the top and still, wet underneath. So I may end up just with one coat, and I guess that's fine. This is, like I said, my main purpose of this was to help with the hail. So this is pure silicone. I don't know how thick it's going to lay on. Seems pretty thin. It's thinner than I expected. It rolled on pretty much like paint. Thick paint. Anyway, that's the status of this project. I doubt, like I said, if I'll get any more on today, but if I do, I'll tag that onto this video. All right, thanks for watching.